still a team with Mrs. P. I hope you're all okay. Alright, I was unsure about doing this one because I was a little bit worried about offending people and upsetting people. But I feel it's a conversation that should be had, okay? And it's about transgender. Now, if you know me at all, I don't care. Each to your own. I don't care if you're gay, you're straight, you're bi, whatever you want. You fill your boots. As long as you're happy and you're safe, that is my key things. I've always said that to the kids. As long as you are in a happy, safe relationship, I don't care, okay? Now with transgender, it's a massive topic, and maybe I don't fully, it's not something I've experienced with any of my friends or family or anything, so I don't know the ins and outs. I am very much of the thing of don't spend your life miserable. You've got one crack at this, okay? If you identify, if you have female anatomy and you identify as a male and you want to transgender, knock yourself out. Other way around, knock yourself out. Live your life happily. That is the main thing. I always thought it was very sad when Bruce Jenner transitioned to Caitlyn Jenner, that she did it so late in life, because I felt, had she been miserable and hiding that for so long, because I thought that's really sad that she's not been able to be her true self. And that's my stance on it. And it's each to their own. I would love you and I would support you either way. But the thing that I saw on Facebook was a lady asking for help because she was getting a lot of hate from her family and her husband's family. Okay, and her situation was she'd been married for 23 years and her husband over the last 18 months has started to wear her clothes around the home. Hadn't discussed it with her, just started doing it. And it was never really discussed. And then they hadn't transitioned at this time. They started to wear the clothes out and about. They felt confident enough to do that. They went and did it. Again, without discussing it with their wife. And then they had started hormone, I won't say hormone replacement, I don't think it's hormone replacement, it's like the female hormones, so that they would develop breasts and things. And they had done this again without discussing it with their wife. And she was saying she was getting hate because she'd sort of, their way of life had started to creep in with no conversation, no discussion. And she said that she felt one day she'd just woken up with someone who she didn't marry. It wasn't the person she married. They didn't look the same, they had a different attitude. I'm not necessarily saying a bad attitude, but they were seeing life differently. And she said she had asked for a divorce, and her partner's family had turned on her and said, how can you not support them through their transition? And she said, it's not a case of not supporting them. I'm not married to the person that I once was. And they said, but in sickness and health. And she said, but this is completely different. I am waking up to a woman in my bed. I didn't marry a woman. I don't want to be married to a woman. And she said, I don't feel comfortable in my own bed anymore. This is not who I want to be in bed with. And I thought the hateful comments to her for not understanding trans and what the partner was going through, I thought was wild, because whilst I fully support the partner transitioning, if that's what they want to do and be happy and be their authentic self, that's absolutely fine. But you've got to have the conversation with your partner. You can't just go and do it. You are changing who they are married to. And I thought, and there's marriages where people transition and it's, it works for them and that's fine, but there must be conversations there. And I genuinely felt for this poor woman. She wasn't being, I suppose the word's a bigot. She wasn't dissing her partner for what they were doing, but she was saying, I'm not married to someone I want to be married to anymore. She said, I feel awkward waking up with a woman. I don't want to wake up with a woman. I want to wake up with a man. And I was so stunned at the hate that this lady was getting for saying, I don't want to be married to this person. Oh, just nearly dragged me tea bag. Would have been funny. Oh shit, I've just done it again. And I thought, surely in a world where we support, or most of us support transgender and transitioning and stuff, we have also got to think of the other person in this relationship. She said her wedding vow she was in love with that person, and they have changed. And me and Mr. P had a massive conversation about it. It got quite heated because he said, well, I've changed. I don't know if you know Mr. P's story. When we were married, he was mad into his skiing, mad into his cycling. He'd go running every morning, proper fitness buff in the gym when he could. Bonkers for it. And we'd been married 2 years when he got very poorly, and he had food poisoning, and he got ME from that. ME, also known as chronic fatigue syndrome. I'm not going to say the full ME title because I can never pronounce it. And yes, he did change. He doesn't cycle, doesn't ski, doesn't run. He's adjusted to his capabilities now, but he was like, we went through stress in our marriage. Like, he was very grumpy. You know, you've got someone who is so healthy and so active and doing it all the time, and you take all of that away, and they just cannot do it. Cannot do it. And I know there's people out there that say ME or chronic fatigue syndrome is all in their head. You have clearly never, ever met someone with it, okay? Because it's not in their head. Mr. P is the most determined man I've ever met, okay? And the days when he can't get out of bed, there were days when he couldn't hold his own babies. I've seen that heartbreak. I have seen that devastation. It is not in someone's head. But we got through it. Okay, sorry. I transgressed? I don't know. So, went off course there. And we got through it. But he was a different person. And he still now, he gets frustrated at his limitations because he's very limited now. He has to use a power chair to get around. He can't walk. He has to, everywhere he goes, he has to have his power chair and stuff. But we got through it. So I understand, you know, I understand what it's like to be married to someone who is not the person you married. But I don't know if I could wake up every day if he was then a woman. Because that's not who I want to wake up to. I chose to marry a man. And I think to make that decision without any conversation, firstly, I think it shows a massive lack of respect to the wife. But the hate that she was getting, and I just thought, no, I fully support the transition, but think about the person. Think about the other person in that marriage. There's two people in that marriage. And I'm not saying don't do it, but maybe you can't be in that marriage if the other person doesn't agree. But to just hate on the person that's going, hang on. Like, if I woke up one day, Mr. P was a woman, and their attitude had changed and how they act had changed, I'd be like, this isn't really what I signed up for. Mr. P was saying, like, I was going to say he likes to poke the bear. That sounds so rude. Like, he gets me all riled because he'll go, but in sickness and in health, and no. And I do get that, but in my opinion, I thought, no, she's well within her right to say, I don't want this in my marriage. I want out of this because it's not what I signed up for. She's not saying I hate you. She's not saying I don't think you should transition. She's not saying I'm against people transitioning. She's saying that's not what I want in my marriage, and surely to God she's got every right to say that. You can't get married and then just go, right, I'll wake up with someone of a different sex. She's not comfortable in her own home. Well, she didn't say her own home, she said her own bed, and I understand that. But I thought surely the respect goes both ways. Whereas here, it's not been respected both ways. It's just been, well, we'll respect the person transitioning, fine, great. But everyone else can go to hell. We just do it. We don't need to have a conversation because I'm within my right to do that, and you are. But you have to discuss after 23 years. And I'm all, one love, let's all be kind. But I thought at the same time, you can't just do that to someone and then just go, what, you're not happy being married to a woman now when you've been married to a man for 23 years? Well, you're a bigot. No, you're not. You don't want to, she's not gay. And she said, I'm getting abuse because I don't find her attractive. Well, if you're not gay, you're not going, you don't necessarily are going to find a woman attractive. And I see a woman on the street, and I'll say to Mr. Pate, oh my God, look at her, she's gorgeous. Oh my God, she's beautiful. So I do see attraction in the other sex. God, this is opening kind of worms, isn't it? But if she doesn't, she's just like, what? And I just can understand how she's completely blindsided. And she's saying, I don't find you attractive anymore. Well, that's okay. They are now a woman. You married a man. That's okay to not feel the same. And surely we've got to say it's okay to be transgender, it's okay to be the authentic person that you want to be. It's also okay for your partner or to say, I don't want to do this. They've got to feel safe in the relationship as well. And I think that a lot of times that can be forgotten. I mean, I remember watching a thing with the Kardashians, and it had, what's the mum called? Oh my God, her name's completely gone. Chris. And it was Chris and Caitlyn talking, and Caitlyn said she was getting all her documents changed, her birth certificate changed. And Chris went, what do you mean you're getting your birth certificate changed? And Caitlyn said, well, my birth certificate now says Caitlyn, or it will say Caitlyn. And she said, will it not say Bruce? And she said, no, I'm Caitlyn. My birth certificate will reflect that. And Chris said, does that mean our marriage never existed? And that hit hard. And you could see the heartbreak in her eyes because, she'd been married to Bruce for so long. They had their kids together, and Bruce had raised the three older girls as well. I think, he was their father after their father had died, or surrogate father. And she just went, does this mean our marriage didn't happen? Did it not exist anymore? And he said, well, of course it did. And she said, but on our marriage certificate, Kris Kardashian was married to Bruce Jenner. But if Bruce Jenner doesn't exist anymore, does our marriage not exist anymore? And I was like, wow, that's a big thing. These I was going to say these little things, but they're obviously not little things. These things are the people that are affected around it, and maybe they need to be heard, and they need to be seen, and they need to be respected. And I'm not saying don't transition. I'm not saying don't be comfortable in your own skin. Don't be who you want to be. But have a conversation. Open it up. Surely it has to be discussed. It's not just, I've decided I don't like my boots anymore. You've gone, I don't like my private parts anymore. This is what I want to be. This is who I feel I am. And that's fine. But let's have a conversation with the people left at home. The people that left reeling. You can't just say to a woman, you're now going to be married to a woman and not a man after 23 years. You can't just rock up one day and do that. There has to be that conversation. So I'd be interested. This is all my opinion, okay? I'd be dead interested to see what you guys think. So feel free to stick some comments down below. Let me know what you think. And tell me if you think I'm dead wrong and this woman should have just shut the fuck up and carried on being married to her now wife. I'd love to hear your points, because maybe I'll go, shit, I've not looked at it like that. I've not thought about it from that point of view. But they're just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So feel free to stick them in the comments. All right, guys, I hope you're all okay. I hope you have a lovely day. I'll check in with you later. Take care.